Bonjour everyone. Oh, God, it's cold.
Hello.
This video might help you turn one of your hobbies into a project that might actually reward you or pay you even better. Were you busy last month? Like, be really honest with yourself. Was it busy work or was it working with clients? Or is photography a passionate thing for you? If you answered yes to any of these questions, this video might help you turn one of your hobbies into a project that might actually reward you or pay you. Stay tuned. So let's be real here. 2023 will be a difficult year as all the indicators that we can see are pointing to a global recession.
I think recession is pretty much a foregone conclusion.
New economic numbers show our GDP has declined for 2 quarters in a row. That's the definition of a recession.
Joe Biden's Treasury Secretary warning that we are headed into a recession.
Meanwhile, AI seems to be taking massive steps towards being a threat to our businesses. Now, what can we do to fight this? Well, the secret, which is not a secret at all, is to ignore all of this and watch the rest of this video. But if I have to sum it up in a very short sentence, put in the work. To showcase, put in the work here. Here's a bit of the story before, and I'm going to use myself as an example. So in May 2022, I was dealing with 2 renovation projects. I had to do rentals in my condo. Well, my old condo. And I'm also renovating another house. 2 moves, a parent passing, a photography business, family, and I felt kind of burnt out. So to find some stoic sense in my life, I picked up the hobby of running. Now you might know why I disappeared off of YouTube for the last 6 months. Running for me was a great way to relieve stress in an ultra hectic schedule. But how does running connect to a project or something that can reward you or put in the work? Well, give me a second and I'll explain. Well, as you know, I'm a sports photographer, or as I like to call myself, le portraitiste. But what I specialize in is unimportant. I met tons of people through running, and I joined a crew of like-minded folks where we run every single week. After a few months of running, a nagging injury, and a race, my friend David sent me a DM talking about the January battle. David explained to me that January is typically a rough month to start running or to continue running, and it's easy to lose motivation, even with your best of intentions for the New Year resolution, whatever. To top it off, if you live in Canada, January is cold, like super cold. Running below 0 degrees is not really something that is not atypical. In a very wise move, the people at Loft Mix, or it's a German company I believe, created the January battle. To put it very simply, without going into too much details, the January battle is when running crews around the world are trying to achieve the highest number of kilometers within a month. And the goal is, again, simply keep you motivated and to start the year very strong. Then a flash popped into my mind. Wait, so I'm a sports photographer, I run, I joined a running crew, and I'm surrounded by athletes, and pretty good athletes actually. This sounded to me like a perfect personal project, and I immediately announced to my crew that I'll be freeing up my schedule in January just to take pictures of this. Overall, this turned out to have many benefits, but to live a good life, I believe we need rules. And here are the 3 rules I apply to this personal project. Rule number 1, define your subject. So the name kind of gives it away, but the January battle means every single portrait has to be created within the month of January. An additional condition that I actually imposed on my subject is that they were all had to participate in the January battle themselves. Rule number 2, what context do you create your work in? My second condition, my other condition, is that I create outdoor portraits. It's not that I hate the gym per se, but treadmills aren't super exciting to me. Going outdoors, in a sense, allowed me to rediscover locations that I might have forgotten and added some kind of authenticity to the actual portraits because runners typically would pick the location and I would just have to show up and shoot there. So this one is going to be a little controversial. I didn't bring any flash or lights to these sessions. I decided not to get bogged down with lighting in order to run a lighter and faster portrait session. It will also allow me to capture more environments, and working outdoors is a little easier to go away or to get out with natural light. I also limited my gear for these projects. I'm using only 2 lenses. I'm using a wide-ish 35mm 1.4 and a telephoto 70-180 2.8. So this is paired also with my Sony a7R III for the nerds. This little combo allowed me to pack super light, shoot incognito, and enable me to run alongside the subject if I required so. For your case, and if you want to give yourself a little challenge, you can always try to limit yourself and bring only 1 lens or something like that in order to challenge yourself a little further. So overall, what did I get from this project and what can you expect from the same project if ever you run one? Here are the main benefits. So the first thing that was beneficial in these sessions, and these many sessions, was I got to expose my work one-on-one to people. I didn't ask for a penny for the work, it was all free, but hopefully while trying to talk about my work, try to talk about themselves and have an interest in whatever they do, I built enough evangelists or people that will sell me in order to put my name on top of lists when it comes to portraits, when it comes to commercial work, and other stuff. Also, I updated my portfolio. So organizing shoots can be complicated sometimes, especially with dealing with agencies. By tapping into my network, even if they're amateur athletes in my case, I managed to find some gems and create some new work that is actually website worthy. I also got a chance to meet big potential clients. So after the event, I got to showcase some of my portraits in front of clients that I really want to work with. An example, if I had to go in the streets or LinkedIn or on Facebook, whatever, if I had to just cold call that lead, I would have to go after it very hard in a very aggressive manner in order to get the exposure that I needed to get a conversation started. And I did that with all the benefits I listed before. But to me, the biggest and most important lesson is I got to meet some ultra motivating people. If I have to put in an example, my favorite subject in this whole project was Sarah.
We have Sarah.
Hello.
And Sarah gave me a super important lesson, which we'll cover in a little while. So Sarah ran more than 400 kilometers in January alone. Again, 400 kilometers in January, that's 100 kilometers a week, which is about 14 kilometers a day. That is insane. And because of people like Sarah, coming back from an injury, I actually done my own battle of running 100 kilometers in January. And to my credit, I managed to squeeze in 107 kilometers. And if you would go see Sarah and ask her, how did you do it? Well, it's brilliantly simple. She just answered, just do it. Stop thinking and go run. Simple as that. And the same, I think, can be applied to us creative when we get bogged down with ideas, but then we don't want to do it. I mean, just go and execute on our projects. So what's the lesson then, or what's the takeaway? Well, hopefully, if I have to sum it up, by running your own project, by using a hobby that is not photography, and by joining a crew of people that do the same thing as you do, that you love to do, you'll have similar benefits. I've deepened my portfolio with ultra specialized work that would have taken me months to create. I also ran a bunch, which +1 for health. And most importantly, I made some really good friends and deeper relationships with people that I actually like. Now, February and March are still a good time to create those type of projects if ever you are like me, and then it's a little slower early in the year. So start now. Create a creative context where you can create the most while being as productive as possible and unburdened with limitations of time and constraint and complications. With all that said, what are you going to create? Let me know in the comments below, and I want to see them so I can actually inspire myself. And I'll see you in the next video. Yvens B, out.